Hi friends, welcome back. Today I want to talk about questions you need to ask your fertility doctor or clinic. Hi friends, so happy to have you here today. Today I just want to briefly run over the top things that you should be asking your fertility doctor or clinic. I'm always asked this by patients or by people online. People will find me on Instagram and then they say, what should I even ask when I go see my clinic? Or how do I choose a clinic? Or how do I choose a doctor? And so here are some of the top secrets that you may not even know to be asking that you should. Number one, how do you communicate? I know that sounds silly, but in today's modern age, people communicate differently. And so if you're an email person or an online portal person, yet your clinic doesn't use email and doesn't have a portal, and you're expected to just call and talk to somebody or answer the phone, yet you have 69 voicemails on your phone, guilty. Is that going to be the best communication style for you? I would argue to say that you need to make sure your style of communication is compatible with the clinic's and set appropriate expectations for the relationship. Secondly, who will you be communicating with? Is it your nurse? Is it your doctor? Do you follow up with your doctor? When are the next follow-up going to be? We all, as REs, practice a little bit differently. Some of us like to see you a lot. I like to see you a lot. Some people don't. They set a treatment plan and the nurse is just going to communicate. There's no right or wrong answer, but the truth is you need to know when are you going to have those touch points. And maybe somebody doesn't have formal visits, but they talk to you on the phone or they have email. You need to know how are you going to be understanding your progression through fertility treatments. Another really important question is who sees the patients? So very often in fertility treatments, you're taking some type of medication and we're watching your ovaries respond. That usually requires ultrasounds. At my practice, the doctors do the ultrasounds. At other practices, nurses may do them, or sonographers, or residents or fellows. Again, if you're expecting your doctor, yet you walk in and you don't see your doctor, that's going to be a huge shock. At my clinic, we rotate. So yeah, you're going to have a doctor do it, but it may not always be me, maybe my partner. At other clinics, maybe it's your doctor all the time, no matter what. Again, who are you going to be seeing? Setting appropriate expectations is going to be the number one thing so that you can tolerate the process. So who is it going to be that's going to be kind of doing the day-to-day stuff when you come into the clinic? Similarly, super important for clinics that have multiple locations. It is really common nowadays to have like a location that's your central hub and then have these little satellite offices. And the satellite offices are smart because they bring in new patients because it's easier to go, that new patient visit is often the barrier. And it's easier to go closer to your house for that new patient visit than to have to go to other places. That being said, if you have to go to the main hub every time you need an ultrasound or an IUI or IVF procedures, you need to be thinking about that along the way. So what all happens at the satellite office? What happens at the different offices? Where will you be going? Another thing is how do they handle weekends? So one example is some clinics do an a la carte cost. You kind of pay for what you use. Each ultrasound is a set fee. Other clinics do a package. This is what an IUI package costs, no matter how many ultrasounds you get. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but one thing is important to know what you're expecting. Is it a fixed fee or does the fee vary? And if the fee varies, does the fee vary on the weekends? Is there a weekend differential? So when you come in on the weekends, who are you going to be seeing? It's not always going to be your doctor, most likely. And you're going to be paying more money to come in on the weekend. Just make sure you know what you're getting into ahead of your treatment so that you don't get upset in the middle. Another important question is, how is the clinic and the lab structured? Many people don't understand that there's different ways that clinics and labs can function. Your clinic can have your lab inside of it with a procedure room, so it's all one entity, or your clinic could have a standalone lab that's a completely different entity. That may be associated with extra facility fees. There may be advantages. If there's an associated surgery center there, perhaps you can have your surgeries done, perhaps they have higher BMI requirements. But what is the structure? Is your IVF lab within your clinic? Or are you going to have to be showing up to a different place? Does that different place cost more money? And where is it? Physically, like where is it? Is it close by or is it further away? On the same token, where are the things stored? Like where are they stored? Are they stored in your lab, or there are also off-site storage systems? So some clinics, in order to save space, they actually will send your embryos, your eggs, or your sperm off to an off-site storage place. So you need to understand, hey, where are my samples physically being kept once we've had success and we're just in the waiting process? Another important thing is, how do you get your lab results? We like to go over lab results in person. So you're not going to have my nurse calling and going over a bunch of lab results on the phone, or you're not just going to open up a portal and see them all there. I'm not saying those are bad things, but I want to be able to explain them all to you. On the downside, you got to come see me or have a telemedicine appointment for us to go over those. That may not suit you well either. So how are you going to have these results communicated for you after you have your testing done? Another question that's commonly asked is about success rates, and you should ask about success rates at your clinic. You need to actually ask about them. There's other ways to find them out, like SART and CDC. Those are resources online where they accumulate data, but it's years delayed in reporting, and it may not reflect current practices or current physicians or current technology. So you need to be able to ask and get appropriate understanding of success rates for your institution from your doctor before you lead into treatment. I always think staffing is a really important question. How many people are in the lab and how many cycles you do? If you have one embryologist in the lab and you do 400 cycles a year, that means that person is working all the time. And what if they get sick? Is there a backup system in play? Do you have other people who can come in? Or do you have more people who can spread this out so it's not as big of a deal? So understanding just how structured is the lab is going to make sense of the workload burden. I also get asked all the time, and I think it's a very fair question, how do I ensure that my patient samples don't get mixed up? We've all heard about embryo errors that have been happening. They get highly publicized in the news because they're very scary things. What is your lab doing to prevent that from happening? Every lab works differently. We use different incubators, different colors of tape. We put personal identification system on everything. We only have one person's sample being utilized at a time, and we have a lot of embryologists per cycles that we do. But directly ask, because you can't just presume that you know the answer if you don't ask the question. I also think it's really important to know why you are being recommended the things you're being recommended, and you need to feel safe and free to ask questions. Sometimes that's not the situation. Every doctor has a different style, and let me tell you this right now, it is okay to see somebody different. It is okay to get a second opinion. You need to trust and have good communication with your fertility physician. Infertility is a personal journey. And so if you are not being taken care of and you don't understand why you're doing the things that you're doing, or you're not having your questions answered, it can be done better, you guys. It can be done better. There's no shame in the game of switching physicians. And I've had people leave me. I've also had people come to me for second opinions, and we are all okay with it. We want you to feel most comfortable in this journey. I've had people say to me in the past that they didn't want to leave because they almost felt like a bad relationship. They'd invested so much time and money and emotional energy into that person or that clinic that they felt like leaving would be starting all over. And what I usually say is, start over, get a clean slate. You can't buy loyalty with financial discounts. I understand that finances are a huge part of this process, but so is having a doctor that you trust and understanding your treatment plan. I frequently tell patients that I can't control if you get pregnant or not. I mean, I try my hardest to get you pregnant, but I'm not going to have a 100% success rate. I wish I could. But what I can control is, at the end of the day, that you are educated about your body, you understand your fertility, you know why we're doing the things that we're doing, and that we made the choices that were best for you. There's no right and wrong choice. This is your journey and your life, and you're the one who needs to know that you're making the right decision for you. Guys, thanks so much for joining. I just wanted to do a quick video here and kind of talk you through some things that I often hear patients ask about and they may not think about because they don't really understand how the clinic is structured. Again, if something's not right for you, leave it. Change. Don't be afraid. Advocate for yourself. A good doctor should respect that you're doing that and should appreciate the fact that you want to empower yourself with education. I would love it if you guys would subscribe to the channel and give me a thumbs up. That's always so appreciated. It helps me spread my message of educating more women. You can get more information on the As a Woman podcast. I have tons of fertility related episodes there. You can listen to the podcast on any of your favorite podcast players. Just search As a Woman. And you can follow me on Instagram at Natalie Crawford, MD. Thanks, guys.